Back at it.
Love that theme song. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Infinite Repeat. I am your host, Nate, joined here with my sister, Alicia. Say hi.
Hi.
And what are we doing here today?
Reviewing The Batman.
Batman by Matt Reeves, and which is now being heralded as the best Batman movie. I'm not so sure about that. The Lego Batman still exists, but we'll get into why this movie is considered to be great right now. First off, I wanted to mostly be non-spoiler, and then we'll go into spoilers, and I'll put the link in the description where you can jump around if need be. So let's start off by talking about our three protagonists, Batman, Jim Gordon, and Catwoman. And basically this movie's kind of a buddy cop between Batman and Jim Gordon.
Yes.
How'd you feel about that, the new Jim Gordon?
I thought he did good, because thinking about how Gary Oldman played him, I was like, I think he held his own comparing to him.
And,
he really did good.
Jeffrey Wright, right?
Yes.
That's the new Jim Gordon. And yeah, they had a very interesting... I wasn't expecting them to be pretty much partners the whole movie.
I wasn't either.
I mean, we in the previous movies, we've seen Jim Gordon obviously work with Batman. That's always a consistent factor with his character, with him to be, like I said, pretty much a buddy cop side by side with him the whole movie. I think it was a very interesting direction for the two characters. And how'd you feel about Catwoman in this, played by
Zoe Kravitz.
Zoe Kravitz?
I liked her character. I really did.
How'd you feel about her compared to Catwoman we've seen in the past, like Michelle Pfeiffer and Anne Hathaway?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, I haven't seen the Michelle Pfeiffer one in a while, so I can't really...
I have.
That's what it's like. You have more of a... with her, because I haven't... I should rewatch the previous ones, but unfortunately, I didn't.
Well, that's a lot of... For the listeners, for my own personal sake, I've watched all the Batman movies prior to watching
Yeah, I probably
movie.
should have did that. I didn't do that, but I did enjoy her character. I really did. I don't know, because it's hard, because those characters were kind of almost like more so. I wasn't gonna say exactly villains. I wouldn't say they're like more so in like their career in a way, where she's like sort of beginning.
Okay. You mean the actress herself?
Not like acting wise, but like as the Catwoman wise. So I'm just like, I felt like I don't know. She did good, but I can't think of. I'll get back to you on what I'm trying to think in my head, but give me a second.
Well, I think the way she portrayed her character was very different than, because like in the other ones they were more villains, I think, and where she was being more of a
cat burglar, but
yeah, like she was more aligned with how I feel like she actually is in the comics, where she's more on the lines between doing her own thing while also still helping the Bat in their relationship, and I think that's where she was more vulnerable, I guess, I think.
Okay, that's the word I'm looking for.
That's what you look for? Yeah,
because I feel like what I was trying to kind of say is that I feel like they were more establishing like how they were already at, and she is still trying to figure out what she's trying to be. So yeah, that's why I was like, I kind of like how like you said, she's more vulnerable in this stage where they were already at that clear-cut stage and stuff like that.
And of course, we have to talk about Robert Pattinson as our new Batman, and I think he did a phenomenal job in this.
He did
a really good job. Like, this is still, I don't know how old Robert Pattinson is, but this is...
I think he's close to my age, which I would never say.
But, so, I mean, he himself is older, but, I mean, you're pretty much saying what your age either way.
I did say that, didn't I? Yeah.
But, like, this is supposed to be an early Batman. He's only 2 years into his career. And this is a very, just, like he's a very inclusive Batman. He's clearly not making any friends, not even pretending to be Bruce Wayne.
I enjoyed that.
You like that?
I really did. Because I mean, we always see Batman, like, by the time we really see him, he's basically 50% Batman, 50% Bruce. This one's like, he's like 80% the Batman, 20% Bruce.
No desire to even hide to be Bruce Wayne, and Alfred is constantly trying to make him at least pretend to be Bruce Wayne again.
Yeah, he's like, I don't got time for that. I'm here to
be Batman.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what I find interesting is like it feels like I feel like Batman or Bruce Wayne himself is always just this awkward guy who's just he doesn't even know how to talk to other people. And like rewatching all the Batman movies, I've seen that with the character, and I feel like Robert Pattinson definitely brings that like I just don't know how to deal with other people angle in this.
Yeah, even with that scene, well, a certain scene in the movie, but he was just like, "Oh, was I supposed to be meeting with you?" And it's like, "Oh crap, yeah, I don't know how to talk to you." It's like, yeah. So you can see that, and he pulled it off good.
Yeah, I mean, one negative we'll have to say right off the bat is the lack of Alfred in this movie. If you wanted to see Andy Serkis, like I did, as Alfred in this, yeah, you're gonna be kind of disappointed. I feel like because he doesn't get near as much screen time as I feel like he should have.
Yeah, that's true.
And he's not a bad Alfred either. Like
I want to say I was kind of surprised. I'm like, I thought he would be, I don't know, for some reason I kept thinking he might be more jokey in a way because it's Andy Serkis, so I'm like,
yeah.
But I'm like, okay, yeah, he had that really serious vibe to him. I
mean, this is only his second comic book appearance after being in, I forget his character's name, The Claw, and the Marvel movies, and that character's dead, so we'll never see him in that again, but thankfully, hopefully we'll see him more in the upcoming DC movies. For a second I thought, oh, we're not going to see him again, but we'll get into that when we get to spoilers. The tone, the cinematography of this movie
the music.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Like, this movie just, it looks like the comics. Like, it looks straight out of the comics. There's so many scenes that just, the very gothic movie, it really reminded me, rewatching those movies of Tim Burton's Batman. Like, this felt like a modern day Tim Burton Batman movie. The way that the manor, or the Wayne Tower looked, all the shots of the dark, there's like no sun in this movie, which I was very surprised.
There's actually one part where there is, but I'll kind of get on to that a little bit later. But yeah.
Were you surprised at how like actually dark this movie was?
No, I expected it.
Yeah, I'm very happy because like I feel like in the other Batman movies, Gotham just looks like the cities that they were filming in, like Detroit or whatever, like the Dark Knight movies.
Yeah.
This one actually didn't feel like a normal city. It felt like this terrible, grimy place you didn't want to live in.
I would not want to be there at all. I wouldn't even want to drive to that place, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, I would talk about the Riddler, but that's just spoiler stuff at this point, so let's just get into it. It's a great movie, go see the Batman. Anyway, right into spoiler stuff. This movie starts off immediately with the introduction of the Riddler.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've seen David Fincher's movies that, like Zodiac or Seven. You know that. Like,
I've heard of this Seven. I mean, I knew what it was about, but I don't remember ever watching it.
You've heard like people compare this to Zodiac, and that's clearly where Matt Reeves. It's very much like the Joker. Like I haven't seen those movies that the Joker was inspired by, like Taxi Driver, right? There's another movie that was inspired by, but this is the same thing where like I haven't seen Zodiac Killer, but that's obviously what the Riddler's look is based off of. But this whole movie was Seven. I know you have seen it, but it's very Seven, where you don't see his face for majority of the movie until the very end. You don't even know, if you didn't know who was playing the Riddler, you don't even know who it is. And I was actually surprised at how scary he was.
I was too. He did so good. He was so freaking creepy. I'm like, especially when you eventually see his face, I'm like, dude, you pulled it off so well.
Paul
Dano, you pulled it off, man.
Edward Nashton, not Edward Nigma, which kind of confused me. But yeah, like the very first scene we get with him, he's a serial killer in this.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty different take on the Riddler.
Especially when you hear the breathing. I'm like,
yeah, he's
just watching these people through the window. I'm just like,
what
the hell is going on?
He's a scary individual in this. And I mean, it's different than, I guess like if we had to compare it to previous Batman movies we've seen, where they're almost all just like they're a physical threat in a way where it's like, yeah, they're scary. Like the Joker has his face paint, you just can tell he's a psychotic individual, or Bane has his mask, he looks like a physical threat. Whereas this, you just straight, like, you don't want to. It works really well with the Batman because it's like he strikes from the night, just like Batman.
Yeah.
And I mean, I find it very interesting how he's kind of inspired by the Batman in a way in this.
Yeah.
So that's pretty interesting. Speaking of a little costume corner, he's not the most not my favorite look on the Riddler. I mean,
Hey, they went for something different.
yeah, they went for something different. He still has the question marks. Like he's maybe we'll get a classic Riddler look.
Well,
in the
I was
future.
at this was actually sometime last year when they first showed I think it was the teaser trailer. There is Double Toasted. They were talking about how he was inspired by another character called. Well, they think he was inspired by another character called Hush.
Mm-hmm.
So they decided to combine them two.
Well, they
together.
actually they kind of showed that in the movie. There was a scene they said Hush.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, is that a little reference right there? But also, I also kind of want to talk about Batman and Catwoman's costume. Catwoman's costume looks a lot like Batman Year One and like the animated, and honestly, I feel like the most realistic Catwoman costume, more realistic than Anne Hathaway's. Honestly.
In what way?
Well, just because I feel like hers was still trying to go for a superhero look and kind of like mimic the Batman's kind of armor. Okay. But this one just like she's a cat burglar and she just looks like a cat burglar. Okay.
Like, yeah. Okay.
Like I like the ears are just this ski mask.
That was cute. Little ears.
And that's what it looks like in the comics a little bit, in the cartoon shows. And how'd you feel about this? How did Robert Pattinson look in the armor for you?
He looked great. He really did.
He filled it out. He looked huge.
Yeah, he did. Especially when you see him, I was like, damn, dude. Like, you filled out that armor pretty well. It was good.
I don't know if it's the best Batman look. I think, I don't like his portrayal, but I think Ben Affleck's Batman, I think the way he looked was pretty dope. But this one, his armor in this kind of looked like one of the Batman games, Batman Arkham Origins, I believe. Kind of looked like that, but it's a pretty dope costume.
He took a lot of hits in that damn thing too.
Yeah.
Many.
Hopefully one day we get like the yellow and purple Batman costumes from the comics, but.
Well, he's just beginning, so he'll work up to that.
Yeah, but yeah, back to the way Bruce is portrayed. He's so into the Batman. He doesn't even seem like he goes out in the daytime anymore.
No, because that scene when he was talking to Alfred at the table, the sunlight hit him in the eyes and he squinted. I was like, oh,
he's vampire Batman.
Yeah, he got the chance. Like, I love that little scene. Like, especially like he has to take out his shades and put them on and wear them in the house. I'm like,
well, he's so deep into trying to make Batman be feared, and like to the point where the criminals are even afraid to go out at night.
Yeah, they're literally staring to the shadows. So like, this motherfucker is somewhere in one of these shadows. Like, I don't know which one, but he's coming out of one.
That's why I feel like the Riddler is clearly inspired by the Batman, because he's doing the same thing. He's stalking his prey and attacking them when they least suspect them. And this is I think this is the most Batman we've gotten. Like he's ninja, he's fighting, he's detective. We get some actual detective work between him and the Riddler.
I think that's what a lot of people are looking forward to, because they say he's supposed to be like
the world's greatest detective.
Yeah, and you don't really get you clearly rewatched the other ones, but I don't really remember that much detective work in them at all.
Not the only ones prior were a little bit in the Dark Knight movies. Like, we got a little bit of him, of Christian Bale doing some in the Dark Knight, but like not to this extent. And I love seeing like him and Alfred like working together, trying to figure out the clues that Riddler is leaving behind. Riddler is one of my favorite Batman villains because he's a character that I feel like a lot of writers don't like to use, because you have to make him smart.
Yeah.
And you have to make him, and at the same time you kind of have Batman be a little dumb, because he has to be as smart as Batman, but also where Batman can still figure out the riddles, but also not that smart where the Riddler is getting one over him every time.
Yeah.
So he's a tough character to write. And they definitely didn't do a good job in Batman Forever with Jim Carrey. Even though I still like
I still like that version of him.
I still like it too.
But I do appreciate this one a lot more.
Because the Riddler is a ridiculous character too. Like, he's kind of ridiculous. He's a dude that dresses up in green and he wears a bunch of question marks, which we don't see in this.
I do appreciate that though.
Yeah, but he does go ham at the end. I wanted to talk about the action in this movie, which For those who don't know, this is a very, very long movie. So if you don't like slow burns, don't go into this movie because this is a very slow, methodical, like I said, like Seven detective movie where you're supposed to be on this ride along with Batman trying to figure this stuff out, trying to figure out the Riddler's clues.
Which is funny because I didn't really feel like it was that long to me. And I'm just like, I was definitely on that ride, but I didn't feel those 3 hours at all, really.
I'm sure on the seventh watch, I probably won't feel that way either.
I'm sure you will.
That's why I didn't really want to compare this to The Dark Knight too many times. Cause that's a movie I put on when I'm doing other things. Like that movie lives rent free in my head, and
free in my head.
And like people are saying this is the best Batman movie. Maybe it is, but I don't know. I gotta definitely watch it at least. But we were saying the action, it's definitely great. Like I mean, they don't waste any time with him immediately beating up those thugs that we see in the trailer.
And it's funny because like it's like it's coming, but I still got so fucking hyped. Like I was just like I kind of tapped you on your shoulder a couple times. Like it's coming, it's coming.
Well, there's just so much build up, which I feel like we don't get that in a lot of superhero movies. Like just the build up to like even just seeing him in the trailer, like the build up to the Batmobile, the build up to him.
Oh god, the Batmobile scene.
Hallway scene.
Oh yes.
There's just so much build up to every little thing in this movie, and like it pays off.
Yeah.
Like I don't think this movie. Like I can't. Just like with The Dark Knight, I wouldn't cut anything out of The Dark Knight, and I wouldn't really cut anything out of this movie either.
I wouldn't either. And especially because you also have the music to go along with it, and it helps build that tension and just build, like you said, build everything up. I was like,
honestly, if a Batman movie,
that music.
If a Batman movie had a bad theme, that's a negative right there. I feel like because like the original movies, the Dark Knight trailer, they all have that theme, and this one just constantly played throughout.
Yeah.
It really elevated. Is that the word?
I can't even think of it now. Your word confused the word in my head. Elevated?
Elevated, thank you. It added to every single scene when that music kicked in. I guess we should talk about some of the villains as well, because we talked about the Riddler, but he's not the only villain in this. There's also the Penguin. There's also Carmine Falcone in this movie, played by John Toretto. One of the Toretto family, nice. And Colin Farrell as the Penguin.
Oh, he did so good. Like, if no one told me that was called, obviously because he's wearing all the prosthetics.
Wait, you didn't know Colin Farrell?
No, I knew he was going to be in it. Obviously,
okay.
I knew he was the Penguin, but I'm just like, wow, you did so good, Colin. You really did.
If someone didn't tell you that was
if someone didn't tell me, I was like, okay.
The moment I didn't know prior, but the moment I knew in the trailer is when is in the Batmobile scene. I was like, is that Colin Farrell? But yeah, he's amazing in this. I really like his portrayal as the Penguin, as this gangster mobster, and I'm very glad hopefully we see more of him.
Yeah, hopefully.
And then there's Falcone, which I didn't even know he was going to be in this movie. It is revealed in this movie that he is the father of Catwoman.
Is that something in the comics?
This movie takes from a lot of different things. It takes from Batman Year One, obviously, Batman Earth One, which I mentioned in the previous video that they were going to do, and Batman Long Halloween, that this also takes from, and you could tell from the beginning because it starts in Halloween. And so in that story, Catwoman is revealed that her father, I believe it's Falcone, if not Maroni, but I think it's Falcone in that story too. In that story and then also maybe the Telltale games as well with Batman, where we find out that Falcone worked with Bruce's parents.
I kind of did like that, especially because we literally just got done playing the Telltale games, and it's just like, oh shit, they stole from the game.
Yeah, I mean it's an interesting way to look at it because it's like you have to see like it's Bruce, because Bruce always thought he's doing this to avenge his parents, to clean up Gotham, but then now it seems like he's cleaned up his parents' work instead, like whatever. And like I like how it doesn't go, well they do but they don't, like it doesn't really go too much in depth of what exactly they did. Like we kind of get it from Falcone really, and then we get another story from Alfred. So really it's just up to Bruce to determine what kind of legacy that his parents truly had. One thing I really appreciate that they added, and I believe Earth One did it first, where it's revealed that Bruce is an Arkham and a Wayne, that his mother was an Arkham. And Batman Earth One, it's kind of they kind of talk about how maybe the Arkham family is kind of crazy, and that maybe it's like there's a curse in their family. And they kind of do the same thing with the Waynes, like they're both crazy families, and Batman is kind of a crazy person himself to dress up like a bat.
Okay.
And I think that's why Catwoman and his relationship is so interesting. I know you wanted to talk a little bit more about that.
With the last name Arkham, I kind of would think you might be a little crazy for some reason. I don't know why. It's just a weird...
they founded Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, so, yeah. But, yeah, how did you think about those two?
I think it worked a little bit better than Anne Hathaway did in The Dark Knight Rises. I don't know, I just never bought... personally, I never really liked Catwoman as a character, but I feel like in this movie they did a really good job of, like, you do kind of understand why they form a bond. Like, they're both, I guess, outcast in a way. But did you buy the relationship? Like, you feel like it was believable?
I did, yeah. I did.
It kind of ends at a very somber note where they don't really want to be together.
Is that what you kind of...
You didn't get that?
Not really.
What did you get from it?
I kind of thought it was just like, okay, I'll see you around. I'm going to go do something, then we'll eventually, like, meet up again. It's like, it's a goodbye for now type of a thing. That's
what you got from it?
That's what I got from it.
I took it as, like, with Bruce staring at the bat symbol, and I took that as, like, he doesn't want a relationship. Like, because she took it, because she says in the end, like, you're already taken, like, he's in love with Gotham.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So that's why I took it as a somber, like, they're never
We
really...
can still be friends. We'll meet up.
Maybe they'll fight crime, but like together. But I took it as like there's no relationship happening because Bruce is. I'm not saying like there might never be a relationship, but that's the way I took it at the end of this movie.
Yeah, I took it as like they're especially with the way they just it's like she went one way, she went left, he went right. I was like they're just parting ways for right now, but I also was like when he looked back in the mirror, it was just like. I feel like it was like some weird hope, like maybe
he wants to, but it's like
but it's like he has to save his city, but it's like I feel like they'll still see each other again. There's no way. Yeah,
especially the way this movie ends, and the whole time I was just like, as long as this movie was for me, I was just like, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? Like they're beating every single one of these guys. They caught the Riddler. And
it's like you don't have no other plan, right, Riddler?
Yeah,
it's like
that's game over.
Excuse me.
What I love is the Riddler. I didn't really notice until I started thinking about it on the way home, but like the Riddler thought he was working with Batman the whole time.
I thought that was so sad.
The moment I noticed that the moment he gets captured, because he asks him, did he solve his riddle with the winged bat? Which I knew that. I knew that what the heck he was talking about the whole time. He was clearly talking about the Batman. Like, Bruce is kind of stupid in this movie, but
listen, there's a lot of things that have Wayne.
But like that scene where like he's texting him, it's like, did you figure out my riddle? And he says, is it a penguin? He's like, interesting. You still don't understand it. And when he gets captured, like we see in the trailer, he smiles at the Batman. Right there, he thought Batman was on his side.
Yeah.
And when he freaks out later in the end, like freaking Lex Luthor and Batman vs Superman.
Don't even compare to that.
No, it just reminded me of that. All he needed was his head shaved.
Oh, but, God.
How'd you feel? How'd you feel about that?
Oh, that scene in the jail. That was so freaking awesome. Like, he was so great, especially when those little moments where he was just. I can't obviously imitate what he just did, but I'm just like, man, that's just beautiful. It's beautiful acting.
Yeah, Paul Dano?
Dano.
Dano.
Dude, you just get applause from me. Like, it was just amazing.
Yeah. The Riddler, very great. But what I love is that they kind of have him win in the end, which is kind of surprising. I mean, this also reminded me of another story where Batman Year Zero, where the Riddler's main character of that, or main villain of that, and he kind of wins. He kind of destroys half the city.
It's also like you kind of do want the villains to kind of sometimes win.
I mean that doesn't happen in superhero movies.
Yeah, but it's also like I feel like how are you gonna learn from anything if you don't lose every once in a while?
Mm-hmm.
you can't always win, otherwise you don't learn nothing. So it's like letting him win. It's like you can, like I said, you can learn something from that and fix it and be better from it.
It's kind of really the complete opposite of what happened in Dark Knight, because with Joker in that movie, the whole movie he was trying to prove a point to Batman. It's like, look, the people of this city are just as shitty as me, and in this, Riddler kind of proved that, yeah, the people of this city are just as shitty as me. Like, he was able, at the end, it's not even him doing the final mission. It's a group of people
his people.
Yeah.
He got a cult, and they came and did his bidding.
Yeah. Well, I thought that was interesting too. Is like they were all faceless people with their masks, the Riddler mask, and because it didn't matter who was under the mask as long as the message was sent out to the people. And even though Batman saved a few of the people in the end, still a bunch of people died in the end. Like the city is flooded, and half the city's destroyed.
Now, is that like something in the comic, like, or is it just something
like that?
They flood the city.
There's a Batman comic where the city gets destroyed by an earthquake. I believe, I forget the name of the comic, but like they took from that, like, said the story where Batman Year Zero, Riddler actually blacks out the whole city, like takes away the whole power from the city. So it's kind of like that as well. So it's a combination of a bunch of different Batman stories. But I can't remember the story that this is based off. But there's a story where basically like this, like the city of Gotham is destroyed, and it's up to Batman and other Gotham heroes to basically bring it up. And I actually want to talk about, do you think that little kid was supposed to be Robin that we kept seeing throughout the movie?
Huh.
Because like that's not Robin's backstory, but we see this little kid that's constantly whose father, the mayor, gets killed, and Bruce obviously relates to that because what happened to his parents.
Yeah.
And for most of the movie, I was thinking like, are they setting up Robin?
Yeah, we do see him a lot, actually.
I figured that was kind of on purpose.
Probably, yeah.
But that's the thing. I wasn't sure because that's not Robin's backstory. Because Robin's backstory is that he's from the circus.
Yeah,
which confused me because Alfred mentions the circus at one point in the beginning of the movie when he was solving the Riddler's riddle, helping Batman. He mentions he was with the circus.
Oh, I must have didn't remember that.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of interesting, or maybe it could have just been a parallel between him and Bruce, like him being
have somebody who Bruce just relates to in that instance.
And that's why I find it. I'm interested to see what the negative reviews people are gonna say that this movie about Robert Pattinson not showing emotion. Like you can see,
he didn't smile.
I mean, you could see through.
That's what one person said.
I mean, you can see through his eyes though. He's emoting through his eyes.
Yeah.
Like when he's looking at that little kid, you can tell.
He feels that child's pain because he was that child.
Yeah. Did they show his parents getting shot?
No.
In a flashback?
No.
That's crazy.
I actually, that's what I thought the beginning was for some reason.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, because I know some people was saying like, Matt Reeves said that he wasn't going to do that. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, did he lie? And I'm just like, okay, because obviously we see the kid and I'm just like, oh God, we're finna see it for the 100th time. And I'm just like, why? And I was like, oh, thank goodness we don't get nothing like that. I appreciate it.
It's crazy. I was expecting to see the pearls fly again, but no, there's no Martha. There's no shooting.
Why did you say that name?
No, there's no shooting Thomas Wayne. So that's interesting. Speaking of Thomas Wayne, the main reason that the Riddler is doing the way he's doing in this movie, he's a very sympathetic character actually, because he was an orphan himself, and
there's a picture. I think there's like a picture of him with the Waynes.
Well, he says he was there.
Yeah, I was like, it looked like he was sitting like right behind Bruce.
Well, it kind of shows. Picture. I felt like that kind of showed like how if they lived each other's lives, how quickly their lives could have been different.
Because he even said, he's like, oh, poor little orphan Bruce, you lived in your little your tower, where we lived here, where it's 30 kids to a room. We got rats eating off us and stuff like that, and it's just like, damn. I
mean, it kind of just shows that Batman kind of creates his own villains. And that's always been a running theme in the comics.
Yeah.
I was surprised at that too, which is not Riddler's origin normally. But one thing who do you think that was? The movie kind of ends with the Riddler arrested, and he's in jail with another person.
I thought it was Joker.
You think that was Joker?
Yeah.
I was confused because, I was thinking, is that because his name's not Edward Nygma like it is. I was thinking at one point, is that the real Riddler or some crap like that?
Oh, that would be funny.
I mean, it'd be weird because his name is still Edward. But I was just thinking, is that another Riddler? He kind of looked like Two-Face as well, which I thought was weird too. Half his face looked messed up.
Yeah, it was unfortunately so dark you can barely tell.
Yeah.
But my first thought was that was Joker.
Mm-hmm. I hope they don't pull the Joker card too early, honestly, because we don't really need. I don't think we need Joker right now.
I don't think we do either.
There's so many Batman
But
villains.
I feel like because the way they were talking, it's like I made a friend. It's like
that could mean anything, though.
But it's also like I feel like there is a way that he's gonna come out and play.
What else is there to talk about?
We didn't talk about that awesome chase scene, Nathan.
The Batmobile.
The Batmobile.
How do you feel about the not the scene itself, but just the Batmobile being a muscle car?
First of all, I love the way they just built it up. Like when we saw it in the shadows, I was like, I was literally just stumping my feet on the ground. I was like, come on, just let's go, give me the action. I loved it. I really did.
You the Batmobile being a muscle car, though.
Yeah.
You fine with that?
I was fine with that.
I feel like I don't know, I'm just so used to the Batmobile being this stylish thing.
Fancy car.
Not even that, it's just I don't know, it just has style to it. And with just being a muscle car, I don't know. I guess we only got it in that one big scene, and that was an amazing chase scene.
It was.
And again, that's just something we don't get in a lot of superhero movies, unfortunately.
It was a build up to him just getting ready to chase them. And I'm just like, give me more. Just the whole music just building up with us just seeing him sitting in the car and just waiting for him to leave. I'm just like, yes.
I mean, I would like to compare it. The only other superhero movies I can think of is that have this level of intensity to me is the Captain America movies, at least Captain America or Winter Soldier, where it's you get the chase scene, him chasing after the Winter Soldier, and the fight scene with him and the Winter Soldier. Those scenes are just as intense as the intensity in this movie.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, really all the action scenes in this, even we get some Catwoman action scenes where she gets to kick ass, and again, I like how Matt Reeves pulls the camera back so you can see everything. You can see her
he has some seriously beautiful shots. There's gorgeous shots in this movie.
Well, and the way he pulls the camera back, there's so many just wallpaper-esque moments, and yeah, just beautiful scenery overall. What do you want to talk about? You got nothing?
Got nothing.
So just 10 out of 10 best Batman for you?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I'll give it a 9.
You still got that one leg up on that one.
You haven't seen Lego Batman. If you did, you would understand.
Unfortunately, I have not.
Alright, well, if you have nothing else to say, I don't really have anything else to say. But thanks for watching the video, or if you're just listening to this as a podcast. Once again, like the video.
You almost say fuck.
Like the video, comment, and subscribe if you want to follow for more. And once again, I've been Nate. This is Alicia.
Hi.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
And stay up on Infinite Repeat.